Welcome back to V8 Creative and part 13 of the Ultima RS build, and this week we're focusing on the cockpit. Another day in the Dean Den, and yes, I've got an all-day pass again. Oh, it just makes you feel so good. And yesterday, I was fortunate enough to go to the Stoneleigh Component Car Show, Europe's largest show of its type, and I met many of you. So hi, if we bumped into one another, and at least two of you said that you put deposits on Ultima RSs because this channel inspired you to build. So I hope the content is of use when you get that kit delivered and you start building. And another piece of good news is some of you may know I'm a bit of a dab hand at writing. I just love doing it. And for over 30 years, I have written articles for specialist car magazines. And at the moment, I am a contributor to a magazine called TKC. And this month, this issue is the first installment of my Ultima RS build. So if you're interested in reading my words, which I must say is slightly different to this, then by all means, I've put a link in underneath here for you to know where to find your copy. And on that note, I think let's just get on with it. Let's just start spannering. Now, as shared with you in the intro, we're focusing on the interior of the RS today and two specific items, the passenger footrest and the handbrake. Now, it seems a bit of an odd topic to focus on a footrest, but having built a GTR before and having driven it many, many miles and looking over to those passengers that are gripping onto the seats for dear life, they need a footrest. Now, if you imagine when people are sitting in the car, their legs are basically out straight. And when you're being subjected to G-force like you do in any Ultima, you need to brace yourself. And that is why I've opted for the footrest. Now, in the footrest kit, you get this pre-bent footrest. And then also, let me move over here, two of these panels, triangular panels that go in either side to give it extra strength, because you need that, because when you're grimacing and tensing, remember your legs are pretty much out, straight out, you need that strength. And then also some rivets, of course, rivets, and a few rib nuts. And that is to actually attach this to the floor of the RS cabin. Now, to actually fit this, what we have to do is we have to actually make sure it's in the correct position. And that's why I needed to open the carpet set. And this item here, as you can see, I've gone for black carpet and also black trim. I just want to understate this carpet. What you can see here is there's a recess, and that is where the footrest sits. Here are the pedals, and in the carpet kit, you're provided with this anti-slip material, which then sits here. And in addition, there are two large squares of carpet that go in the seat rails. And that's it. That's the trim. That's the carpet kit. So next, we have the handbrake. And this is what is supplied in the Ultima kit. And it is beautiful. We have a stainless steel ratchet and basically base plate that bolts onto the chassis. And then we have this beautiful stainless trigger. Just listen to this. Isn't that lovely? And then this is steel that has been chromium plated. A beautiful piece of kit. I know I get excited about the oddest things, but it is lovely. And also included in the kit are P-clips and pop rivets. Those are for the cables. And then also this balance bar that goes through the bottom of this lever. And on that balance bar goes basically two handbrake cables. Now, these go through the center of the chassis in the cockpit, and then they go through the bulkhead into the engine bay. So there we go. So I've positioned the footrest so the carpet neatly goes around it, and I've got the final position. So I'll remove the carpet. There we go. So as you can see, I'm marking 1, 2, 3, 4 holes here, and then on this side, let's see how these line up. So if I do 2 centimeters down, and then I do a 6, and then if I do another 6, yeah, that works well. So if I do 6 centimeter spacing on those, they're great. Now I just have to do the center of the holes. Now this is a very small return, so Ooh. Well, that's one way of taking that off. So before we put the handbrake onto the car, what we can do is we've got the pin that goes through the bottom of the handbrake, 2 washers and 2 split pins. Now it's easy to put the split pins in, or one at least, before it's on the car, or on the handbrake rather. So you bend these around. And basically what this does is it stops this small bar coming off. Then we put on a washer, and then it goes through the handbrake. Next washer on, and then the other split pin. Whoops. And all done. Right, let's go and put it on the car now. Now we have stainless steel domed set screws, of course, stainless steel washer either side, and then a stainless steel lock nut with a nylock in it, nylock insert. There we go. Okay, the next stage of the installation is to put in the 2 handbrake cables. Now they come through the bulkhead here, through some grommets. The outer sleeve is connected to this bracket with 2 nuts, and this bracket is also used for the lower seatbelt mounts. And then the ends of the cables go through this rod. And as you can see, when the handbrake is pulled on, that rod is pulled forwards to the front of the car, which then pulls the inner cables and applies the handbrake calipers. So while we're doing this, what we also do is put in the shifter cables, because they go through these holes as well. It's very tight, so Ultima provide these grommets, 4 of these, and you put 2 holes in each. One is for the handbrake cable and one is for the shifter cable. I'll go and do that now. So the factory says warm water. Warm water. Put it in there for a little bit to sort of soak. So it's these two I'm going to do, which is the driver's side. This one goes on the outside and this one goes on the inside. And the orientation of this is this way round. And then of course I've got to put one that way round. But I'll just do this side first. And there we have it. Another day in the Dean Den comes to a close. Now, I know a lot of you want more footage, but I've got to prep for work tomorrow. Anyway, I've loved working on the car today. And why? Well, every time I work in that cockpit, it takes my mind back to the thousands of miles I did in my GTR 20 years ago. I must say, the Ultima Cockpit is the most intoxicating environment a petrol head could ever be. And when I finish the car, I'm going to put GoPros all over it. I'm going to have you sitting virtually next to me. I'm going to have some sound recording equipment that can just hear those tappets, can just hear the roar of the induction. So you too can absolutely immerse yourself in the experience. So next week, part 14, I'm still in the cockpit. That pleases me because, as you know, it's my environment, and I'm going to be putting in the shifter or the stick. Now, if you thought that handbrake was a beautifully machined component, you just wait until you see the gear shifter. It is beautiful, and I'll be fitting the first piece of carbon fibre. Oh, it's just going to be amazing. Anyway, until next week, happy spannering, and remember, intelligence is creativity having fun. Bye-bye. You see